Greetings and welcome to a relatively quick Anima Beyond Fantasy video, because here David the Bard is having a little bit of trouble using development points to create a level 1 summoner. Now I'll go into the summoner class at the end of the video, because right at the beginning here I'm going to go into a quick explanation on how development point works. So let me hide this for a second right here. So if we look at the classes, let's say the summoner, you will notice all these values. Now this can be a little bit daunting if this is your first character. However, this is right here for the summoner. This is the part that you want to focus on right now, the supernatural ability. As you can see, it says you are limited to investing 60% of your total development points into anything within this category. Now this is all this. Now you're wondering, well, surely I can't need that much because you need 4 different things to be a summoner. Now, this applies to every other class in the game. This works the exact same way. If we go all the way up to the warrior, the most basic of classes, you will see that it's very similar here, that he is limited to 60% for his primary abilities. So this means that we can invest a total of, this should be a 300 right there, 360 of our total development points in primary abilities. However, there is one very big caveat that needs to be said before you do any of this. You, according to this rule, let's see, let me find that rule because it's very important. Let's see, those are advantages. Changing classes, no, that's not it. Nope. Should be before all this. Yeah, should be here. Physical abilities, maybe it's down here. Here we go. Limits on offensive and defensive abilities, and this is basically the same limitation for magical and psychic projection. You can never invest more than 50% of your total DP into your offensive abilities. This means attack and block or dodge for any physical character, and your magic and psychic projection for all those other supernatural characters. So if you go back over to our little Excel table, this means that we are limited to a 300, because that is 50% for our attack and defense, which leaves us 60 extra for everything else. Now, a warrior requires 2 points for attack, block, and dodge. If you go back over here, we will see that is exactly the case. So this means that we can have that it'll cost us, we have a total of 150 points total for attack and defense. Now, if we want to even it out between, let's say, attack and defense, we would have 75 here and 75 here, and we now are literally done with 300 of our development points. This 60 we have left over, we can use for anything else within this table. Now, this can be style tables, which are counted within that. It can be for martial arts, which are also counted within the primary, the combat ability. And learning a new weapon also counts within that limit. So if you want to know more than just the one weapon your character knows how to use, that is something you can waste it on. Or you can grab this and put it back into your secondary abilities and have a little bit more there. So that is generally how our development points work. So let's say we are going back to the summoner over here. So let's say we are a summoner that will only summon the tarot cards. I'll go over that in a few minutes. So you will only need summoning. That's all you will ever need. You will not need magical protection. You will need multiples, I believe. Yeah, you'll still need magical accumulation multiple. So you'll need to invest there. But this makes it so that out of all of these things, you only need to focus on 2. So let's say we go all the way down here. Let's see, where are the tarot cards? There should be right above here, just above the psychic abilities. Here they are. So let's say you want to summon, let's see, let's pick something that isn't too ridiculous. The tower, no, let's see, hangman. Oh, let's say you want to play the Wheel of Fortune every single time and summon something random every time. So you need a total of 450 Xeon accumulated in order to cast this. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. However, if you focus on just being an invoker, and I believe that rule is somewhere over here. Let's see. Let's go down. Invocation, invocation ceremony, executing an invocation, and spending, oh, hold on. The invoker must use the time modifiers. That is the table that is, there are modifiers per round, which is pretty crazy. Let's see, so we need a total of, where's the wheel? Here we go. So we need to have at least this much Xeon within us to cast it, which is pretty crazy. And we need to have 240 summoning ability. So we have a total of 360 points there as a summoner. So we need 240 and we get 10 per level. So we are going to waste 230 of those points into that so that we can always summon the Wheel of Fortune if we want to. And that leaves us with, let's see, 360 minus 230, 130 points left. Now, as you can see, we need a lot of Zeon to summon these arcanes or the tarot cards. So what we're going to do with the rest of those points, since we have nothing else we want to do with that on, let's say, this one, we are going to invest it into Zeon. So every 1 point we invest, we are going to get 1 Zeon back. So 130 times 5, and that means we get 650 Zeon points. There we go, a little big Z there to signify it. So with this, we now have enough to summon the Wheel of Fortune probably a couple of times a day. Let's see, nope, that's again the director's book. Go back up to the second abilities. Here we go. So it costs 450, and because we're not going to summon creatures, we're only going to focus on the arcanes. The cost is cut in half, so that means it's 225. So we can easily summon the wheel at least 2 to 3 times per day, depending on what we need. Now, that is also assuming that you don't also need to waste 50 for the Fool, which automatically cancels any bonus or negative thing that happens, which is this. As you can see, summoners have penalties for all of this. And this also applies to the tarot cards, but the Fool, this one right here, automatically cancels out any bonus and negative. So you can't spend an entire day to summon it and get a bonus, but you also don't suffer anything for doing it instantly. So that is one way to do a summoner. Now let's say instead of these, we want something, say, more physical, something flashier. We can. Let me bring out this little book over here, books, English edition. If we go over to the Arcana exit, we have access to Incarnations. So Incarnations are literally you become whatever it is you are summoning. It's pretty cool. Now, as you can see, they are very, very varied. There is from physical warriors to mages to beings made of shadow to lions. There's an Oni princess. There is this guy right here, which is so son of the sun, and a whole lot. We've got a Slayer of Dragons, and among the most powerful here is we have a Pirate King, quite literally. He literally launches a shark made of water. It's pretty cool. And we have Host the King of Heroes, which gives you some pretty awesome stuff. Now, in order to use Incarnations properly, you have these tables right here. Now, these vary from every incarnation to the other. So in this case, if we have Mornhaven itself, which is a relic, which every GM will have a different opinion on this, but some people at our table have wasted 3 because the sword itself does exist. It is in the artifact manual, and it doesn't really do that much, but giving you plus 150 summoning towards the King of Heroes is pretty big. But as you can see, there are also negatives. Refusing to help the needy, betraying your allies, disrespecting others gives you some pretty big negatives. And these vary for every single one of them. So let's see. Let's say you are a young girl that wants to play with puppets, let's say, because I have done that myself, and it was pretty interesting. So if you go all the way back here, where are you? Here we go. So Lolian, as you can see, if you are less than 15 years old, you get automatic a plus 50. If you are adorable, which instant that heart, another plus 30. If you believe in fairy tales, plus 20. And be a source of joy to people. Maybe you put on a show on the street and people like it. You instantly have a total of 110 bonus to summoning. And considering that at level 1, the summoning is 180, that means you only need 70 in your summoning capability to incarnate this. And that is just about it. Now, as you can see, every incarnation has 3 levels of affinity, and each one has a required level that your character requires, the summoning difficulty, and how much Zeon it is going to cost you. Now, I do believe that if you focus on, let's see, I do believe there is a rule that says that if you only use Incarnate and don't actually do summoning or anything else, the Xeon cost gets cut in half. Let's see. Give me a second to try and find it quickly. Powers. The only here we go. The only limitation is that you cannot combine your the abilities that Incarnations give you themselves, because they give you all kinds of stuff, with key abilities, Legacies of Blood, or Ars Magnus to improve or modify the ability in any way. So if we say we incarnate Nerval, we will be stuck with this right here. We cannot use any key techniques to make it better. We cannot use any Ars Magnus, so we can't use a Gunblade to attack with it. You're given usually a weapon, as you can see. Some give you armor, and some give you spells. So if you incarnate something, you are using its abilities as it says and not anything else. Now, let's see. Jin himself, he checks the fails, conversion creature as explained in the Anima. If the check was successful, he pays the Xeon cost, and the Incarnation emerges within. So you control everything, but you gain all those powers as if they were his own and this is how long it lasts, depending on, and this adds difficulty to the summoning. So you say you were going to be in combat for 5 turns, the difficulty goes down even more. So let's say you were going to summon Nerva at level 1. And say you had 2 of these, so we have plus 40, be well known and people trust us. So we have 40, that lowers it to 240. And we are going to only do it for 5 turns. That gives it another 50, so that is 90 less, so that is 190 instead of 280. So if you want to do Incarnations, I highly suggest you focus your character on 1 or 2 and roleplay it so that he maintains bonuses and ignores the negatives of each one. Now, as you can see, level requirement, invocation powers Incarnation. I'm still looking for the part that it says that if you focus on Incarnation, maybe it's in the core book. Let's see, here we are. So let's go all the way back. That is magic spells. Here we go, summoning abilities. It should be in the area that it says, must invest some Xeon points into Ham. Summon beings double the more powerful. The following contains, yep. So that is how much it costs. And now let's see opposing abilities. Summoning, control, bind, the rituals. The more time invested, you get a bonus to summoning creatures. And as you can see, if you're trying to summon some creatures all the time, knowing a lot about them gives you some bonus, although not as big. And let's see, groups of summoners, gnosis and summoning supernatural, Xeon regeneration of bound beings. Bound beings don't actually regenerate their own Xeon. You have to give them their own. So being a summoner can be pretty complicated. Elementalism, failure. Oh, here we go. I think this is it. So the characteristics, let's see. Who develops the summoning abilities can decide to specialize in a specific element. If so, the character receives a plus 30 bonus to any summoning ability used on beings of a related element, but minus 30 on the opposites. Let's see. If you pass any key also replace against that being once a character has specialized and you cannot change it. Nope. That's familiars. So I don't remember where that rule is, honestly, but it is there. So if you are only an incarnator, that means you use the Tarot and Incarnations. The cost of those two goes down by half, but you cannot summon creatures at any point in your life, apparently. I believe that's how it goes. So anyway, that is a quick review on how development point distribution works, and a quick overview on how summoners and the lots and lots of ways that you can make a summoner, because you can even make a summoner. Let's say you are a warrior that can instantly banish beings. So you don't summon anything, you just banish them. And you fight with a sword and shield or something. You can also do that. So let's see, what was it? Brandon, I believe your name was? Yeah, so no, David the Bard. So David, if you want my help to create a summoner, I'm going to need a lot more details. So exactly what type of summoner you want to be. Because as I just told you, there are a lot of ways, and trying to get a decent level of summon, control, bind, and banish is very, very difficult, especially considering the difficulties to banish and control things. As you can see, even at level 0, you need 140 summon and 180 control just to summon something and control it. And then let's not forget for binding, and then to banish it back to its realm, it's another 100. So if we say are going to ignore binding, we don't want to bind it to us, we're just going to tell what to do and then release it. It is already 420 points. So as you can see, based on this, that is way over how many points we have available to invest into any of these. So yeah, you need to think very clearly what it is you want. So because if you go here, bind, this allows the summoner to trap supernatural creatures inside physical objects or living creatures. So yeah, even though we ignored binding, we needed over 400 development points to have all of that. Now you don't need exactly this much. You can say have less summon because of the bonuses and negatives you can have to summoning creatures. So say you know the being's true name, you have a plus 20 there. Or maybe you possess a strand of its hair, that means it's plus 40. Or you possess an object that belonged to it. So let's say you have all these, that means you have a bonus of plus 50. That lowers this table to 90. So that frees up a little. So let's say that's 90, 270, 370. We are 10 short on what we need. Now this is not taking into account your dice rolls, because you can fumble and all that. So with 360, you can say have one creature that you can summon that say, maybe you don't have a pack with it, but you know you have all 5 of those bonuses over there because of the story you made for the character. And as you can see, there's also the problem of doing all this stuff if you want to make a ritual. But anyway, if you want my help with your summoner, please give me as many details as possible, the type of creatures you want, and some other stuff. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. He also asked my help on how you create a mystical artifact. Now that is a whole lot of other mess, and unfortunately that book does not exist in English yet. It is only available in Spanish. But as you can see, we have a whole heck of a lot of artifacts. It's going to go to the final page here. So the artifact index, as you can see, these are all the mystical artifacts that are now already created within the game, and you can use them all. However, they vary in power a great deal. Amongst the most powerful ones are quite literally an entire city. Then there's this little orb right here that will literally make your subconscious ideas come true. But if you lose control, you will stop existing. There's the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead. Then we've also got the Sacred Treasures of the Orient. And yeah, you can spend an entire week just reading through this stuff and seeing which ones you like and everything. It even includes the original Swords of the Inquisition. As you can see, there's this one right here, which is the one in possession of the Child Empress of Gabriel. And then if we go all the way to the last one, this is the one Romeo Exit, the leader of the Inquisition, has. So yeah, have fun with that. So if you want, I can show you how to make a supernatural artifact, but it is quite a bit difficult if you don't read Spanish because the book is only in Spanish. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time where I go over the creation of supernatural artifacts in a simple way using, let's say, an object that already exists. What would be a good one? I don't know. We'll figure it out next time. So later.